Respect is a quiet agreement, but some people mistake calm for weakness, silence for surrender. They think because you don't react, you don't notice. And that's where their education begins. See, I don't raise my voice, I don't repeat myself, and I don't chase anyone to understand my worth. If respect is denied, I don't argue. I correct. Not with noise, but with outcomes. And by the time they realize what they broke, fear is already collecting the debt. Listen carefully, because I won't repeat any of this. You want to understand when respect ends. It's simple. It ends the moment they think you've grown too calm, too quiet, too tolerant to be dangerous. People assume stillness means softness, but men like you and me, we do our real thinking in silence. Understand this. Disrespect is never an accident. It is always a measurement, a test, a calculation done by someone who believes you lack the power, the will, or the confidence to respond. And the mistake most people make is reacting instantly, raising their voice, explaining themselves, defending what should already be understood. I'm telling you now, never rush to correct someone who has already shown you their intentions. Let their behavior complete its own sentence. When someone stops respecting you, don't expose your disappointment. Don't question them. Don't show them that their shift affected you. You observe. You watch the new version of them unfold. You watch how bold they think they can become. You let them write their own downfall with their own hand. Because once a person believes they've gotten away with disrespect, they reveal every weakness they were trying to hide. And here, you stay calm, not out of kindness, out of strategy. When respect ends, your calculation begins. You start measuring their patterns, their words, their new tone. You measure who they talk to, how long they take to respond, how loosely they treat your presence. These small details matter. They are signals. They are warnings. They are the blueprint of what comes next. Most people respond emotionally. That is why they lose. They confront too early. They confront without understanding. But you're going to confront only once. And when you do, it will not be with arguments. It will not be with raised voices. It will be with a decision. A decision you've already prepared in your silence. Let me make something very clear to you. You do not correct disrespect by seeking validation. You correct it by removing access, removing comfort, removing the illusion that they are irreplaceable. The moment respect ends, you begin planning, not plotting, planning, calculating what they value, what they fear losing, what makes them fragile. Because everyone, no matter how loud, fears something, and your silence becomes the space where their fears grow. Don't try to fix people. Don't try to win them back. Don't try to restore what they killed with their own hands. Your only responsibility is to understand the truth they revealed and to decide, quietly, what the cost of that truth will be. You study it. You let it show you everything you need to know. And when the time comes, you don't respond with noise. You respond with consequence. Look at me for a moment and listen without interrupting. The worst mistake people make is confronting disrespect the moment it appears. You don't do that. Not if you want control. Not if you want the upper hand. Not if you want the other person to feel the weight of their choices. When someone disrespects you, your first job is to remain still. Not frozen, not afraid, just still. Because stillness tells them nothing. And when people can't read you, they start exposing themselves without even realizing it. You don't confront disrespect immediately, because early confrontation gives them confidence. It tells them they got under your skin. It tells them you're emotional, reactive, predictable. And predictable men are easy to manage, easy to provoke, easy to control. You're not going to be predictable. Not anymore. When disrespect appears, you let it grow. Not because you're weak, but because you're patient. Patience is a weapon. Silence is pressure. And distance is a mirror they can't escape. Let it compound. Let them think you didn't catch it. Let them think they're safe. Because when people believe there are no consequences, that's when they reveal their true character. The character they tried so hard to hide behind politeness. Every extra ounce of disrespect they show is a gift to you. Information, patterns, evidence, confirmation of who they are and what they truly think of you. You don't confront them early because early confrontation saves them. It gives them the chance to correct themselves, to act innocent, to pretend ignorance. You don't give them that luxury. You let them continue. You let them dig. You let them expose every layer of their nature. And while they're busy being careless, you're busy observing. Every shift in their voice, every careless remark, Every silent insult, every little sign of how far they believe they can go with you. By the time you confront disrespect, it shouldn't be a conversation. It should be a verdict, a final decision, a calm execution of consequences they created themselves. So don't rush, don't react, don't expose your awareness. Let it compound. Because the more they believe you didn't notice what they did, the more fearless they'll become, and the more they'll show you exactly how to end things with precision. You don't rise to disrespect. You let it rise on its own, so that when you finally move, you move with clarity, certainty, and absolute control. Look closely, because this part will decide whether people fear you or forget you. Most people are loud because they're insecure. Most people talk too much because silence terrifies them. But you, if you want presence, if you want command, if you want the kind of aura that unsettles a room, you need to become the quiet they can't interpret. Quiet is not weakness. Quiet is not surrender. Quiet is control. Not the kind you force, the kind people feel. When you stop explaining yourself, people start inventing explanations. When you stop reacting, people start imagining reactions. When you stop filling the space, people start wondering what you're planning. That wondering, that uncertainty, that is where your power lives. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to broadcast your intentions. You need to master stillness so complete that people fear breaking it. Because unreadable men are dangerous men. Not because they hide something, but because no one knows when they will move, how they will move, or what they will take with them when they do. Your quiet must be deliberate, measured, controlled, not passive, not indifferent, strategic. Stop telling people what you feel. Let them guess. Stop stating your plans. Let them wonder. Stop revealing your boundaries. Let them find them by crossing them once. When people can't read you, they can't prepare for you. They can't manipulate you. They can't provoke you. They can't predict whether you'll forgive them or end things silently without looking back. An unreadable man is a storm behind a closed door. They know something is there, they just don't know when it will break. And that is fear. Let your face betray nothing. No irritation, no excitement, no insecurity, no eagerness. Keep your expressions calm, neutral, focused. Even your breathing should look intentional. People read everything, your eyes, your jaw, your pauses. So give them nothing. Make your quiet the part of you they can't decode. When someone disrespects you, stay calm. Let your silence sharpen the air around them. Let the weight of your unreadable reaction press against their choices. Most of the time, you won't need to do anything else. The uncertainty alone will discipline them. You are not trying to scare people. You are building an aura, a feeling that you are not easily accessed, not easily shaken, and not easily understood. Because once people believe they've figured you out, they stop respecting you. But when they can't read you, when your quiet forces them to think twice about every word, every action, every assumption, that is when you stop being just another person in the room, and you become the one they watch, the one they avoid disappointing, the one they fear crossing. Most people ruin their advantage by reacting too early. They expose their awareness, their anger, their disappointment. And the moment you show your cards, you lose the game. You want real control? Then let them feel safe. Not protected, not respected. Safe. Let them believe their behavior went unnoticed. Let them think their tone didn't shift. Let them assume their small betrayal blended in. People relax when they think nothing is coming. They speak more freely. They act more boldly. They reveal more truth than you could ever force out of them. When someone feels safe, their guard drops. And when the guard drops, the mask falls. That is when you see the version of them they tried to hide. That is when their intentions become clear, their arrogance becomes visible, and their weakness becomes measurable. If you confront them too soon, you cut the process short. You interrupt their exposure. You save them from revealing the full extent of their disrespect, and you end up fighting a battle without knowing the entire battlefield. Letting them feel safe isn't mercy. It's strategy. It's giving them enough rope to show you exactly how far they're willing to go. It's letting them build confidence in their disrespect, so when you finally move, your decision is justified, precise, and final. You never strike in confusion. You strike when you have clarity. You strike when their pattern is complete. You strike when they're confident enough to stand still, because a still target is easier to eliminate. Your calm, your silence, your lack of reaction, that's not passivity. That's preparation. So remember this. Let them talk. Let them relax. Let them think you're blind. Let them believe the distance is harmless. Because when people feel safe, they become unguarded. And when they become unguarded, they become predictable. And when they become predictable, they become easy to end. You don't rush. You don't warn. You let them settle into their false comfort. And then, when the time is right, you move once, and the entire game changes forever. Arrogance is predictable. Arrogance is blind. Arrogance is loud. And predictable, blind, loud people are the easiest to break if you know how to use their own ego against them. When someone is arrogant with you, don't challenge them. Don't argue with them. Don't try to teach them humility with words. An arrogant person doesn't listen. They perform. So you don't interrupt the performance. You let it continue. Because the more arrogant someone becomes, the more careless they become. The more they talk, the more they expose. The more they assume, the more mistakes they make. And the more they underestimate you, the easier it becomes to turn their confidence into a trap. You don't confront arrogance, you harvest it. Let them believe you're less aware than you are. Let them assume you're less capable. Let them think they're above you. People who think they're above you stop watching their step. They get comfortable, they get sloppy. They reveal their weak spots because they no longer fear consequences. And that's when their arrogance becomes your advantage. You see, arrogant people give themselves away. They speak too freely. They move too quickly. They trust their own assumptions too much. They think their charm can cover their intentions. They think their confidence can hide their insecurity. And they think their attitude can intimidate you. But you're not here to be intimidated. You're here to calculate. Instead of reacting emotionally, you observe. You watch their confidence inflate. You watch their mask slip. You watch how their ego controls them instead of them controlling it. And while they're busy proving something to the world, you're busy identifying the exact point where they're vulnerable. That's where you strike. Not with noise, not with confrontation, but with a single, decisive action that hits them exactly where their arrogance left them unprotected. Understand this. Arrogant people don't fear strong men. They fear unreadable men. Men who don't react. Men who don't get provoked. Men who don't show insecurity, jealousy, or anger. Men whose silence feels like judgment. When you stop feeding their ego, you starve their power. And when you stop reacting to their attitude, you expose the truth they're desperate to hide. Their arrogance isn't strength. It's a shield made of glass. Your job is simple. Wait for the crack. Apply pressure. And let the entire facade collapse under its own weight. Hurt is natural. Feeling is natural. But showing it? That's a choice. And a costly one. You don't let people see what affects you. You don't let them witness the bruise they caused. The moment someone knows where you feel pain, they know where to strike next. And people, even the ones who pretend to care, will always test the wound they can see. So your rule is simple. Never show hurt. Only show calculation. Only show control. Only show strategy. When someone disappoints you, don't broadcast it. Don't let your face change. Don't let your voice shake. You keep your expression calm, your tone level, your presence steady. Because the minute they see you're hurt, they feel superior. And superiority gives them confidence. Confidence to disrespect you again. Confidence to treat you casually. Confidence to think you are predictable and emotional. You won't give them that. Your silence is not weakness. It is the removal of access. It is the boundary they didn't expect. It is the cold realization that you don't respond emotionally. You respond strategically. You don't argue about what hurt you. You don't plead. You don't beg for understanding. You let them speak. You let them reveal more. And you let their own behavior define the future. A man who cannot control his pain becomes controlled by it. A man who can hold his pain behind still eyes becomes untouchable. When something hits you deeply, you don't react. You observe. You analyze why it affected you, what it reveals about the other person, and how you need to adjust your position. This is not emotional suppression. It is emotional discipline. Learn this difference. You are not burying the pain. You are weaponizing the lesson inside it. People must never know what hurts you, not because you are invincible, but because your vulnerabilities belong to you, not to them. When you stop showing hurt, you stop giving people leverage. You stop giving them the blueprint of your weakness. You stop allowing emotional reaction to guide your decisions, and you start making choices based on clarity, not chaos. This is how you regain power. You don't respond to the moment. You respond to the pattern. You respond when the time is right, when the facts are clear, when your decision has weight, not emotion. So, understand this. They only need to know you're thinking, Because a man who is hurt might break, but a man who is quiet, a man who is controlled, a man who is strategizing, that man becomes someone they fear losing and someone they fear crossing again. Never show hurt. Show direction. Show clarity. Show the calm that comes before a decision you'll execute without shaking, without warning, without ever explaining the wound they caused. Let me tell you something important. The more you explain yourself, the less people respect you. Every explanation you give is a doorway for them to question you, measure you, and weaken your presence. You want authority? Then close the door. Stop justifying your choices. Stop clarifying your silence, your distance, your boundaries. You don't owe anyone a tour of your mind. When you stop explaining yourself, something interesting happens. People start guessing, and guessing is uncomfortable. Guessing creates pressure. Guessing forces them to confront the possibility that you're thinking further ahead than they are, that you know more than you reveal, that you have reasons they're not invited to understand. Uncertainty is power, not loud power, not aggressive power, quiet power, the kind people feel even when you say nothing. When you stop explaining, people start wondering, did I cross a line? Did I misjudge him? Why did he go quiet? Why didn't he respond? What is he planning? That guessing is the discipline they didn't expect, and most of them won't admit it, but it bothers them. It makes them cautious. It makes them rethink their behavior. It makes them respect you more than any explanation ever could. Explanations weaken your stance. Silence strengthens it. Because explanation is emotional, silence is strategic. You don't need to explain your absence, your distance, your decisions, your change in tone, your shift in priorities. You don't need to justify what you choose to tolerate or walk away from. People who deserve a place in your life will understand without being told. People who don't are exactly the ones who want explanations, not because they care, but because they want control. Stop giving them that control. Speak when necessary, clarify when required, but don't explain out of insecurity, guilt, or fear of being misunderstood. Let them guess. Let them feel the weight of not knowing. Let them sit with the discomfort of uncertainty. Because when they start guessing, they start respecting. And when they start respecting, they stop crossing lines. You don't control people with noise. You control them with presence. And the strongest presence you can hold is the one that doesn't explain itself. Listen, and listen properly. People think fear comes from shouting, fighting, threatening. That's what amateurs believe. That's what desperate men rely on. Violence is loud, sloppy, emotional. Anyone can throw a punch. Anyone can break something. But not everyone can create fear. Fear is not violence. Fear is precision. Fear is when your actions are measured. Fear is when your timing is exact. Fear is when you move so deliberately that people feel the weight of what you could do without you ever raising a hand. Violence forces respect for a moment. Precision earns respect permanently. When you act with precision, people can't predict you. They can't prepare for you. They can't understand how you think. And that uncertainty becomes the knife they feel on their neck. You don't need chaos. You need control. Control over your reactions, control over your decisions, control over your silence. Fear comes from the question, what will he do? Not from the answer. Your strength isn't in showing power. It's in showing restraint. Until the moment you decide to move. It's not rushed. It's not messy. It's targeted. One decision, one action, one consequence. That's what creates fear. Not noise, not threats, not displays of aggression. Fear is built when you let people know, through your stillness, that if you choose to act, it will be decisive. It will be final. It will be without hesitation and without apology. Precision means you don't repeat yourself. You don't negotiate your worth. You don't warn people twice. You give them one chance to understand. After that, you execute your decision quietly. And that silence speaks louder than any threat ever could. People fear the man who is calm when he should be angry. The man who is silent when he should be shouting. The man who looks directly at the problem without flinching. Because calm is not confusion. Calm is calculation. And when your calm is sharper than their aggression, they understand the truth. You're not avoiding the fight. You're choosing the moment. And that moment, when it comes, will be exact. Fear is precision. Precision is power. And the man who acts with precision wins without ever needing to raise his voice, prove himself, or spill unnecessary blood. Remember this, violence is what men use when they lack strategy. Precision is what men use when they already know the outcome. Look at me. Because this is where real dominance begins. Anyone can force understanding with anger, noise, or violence, but that kind of power is temporary. People forget fear when the threat is gone. But when you make someone understand without raising a hand, without raising your voice, without changing your expression, that stays with them. Your strength is not in force, it's in presence. When someone crosses you, you don't need to react. You let your silence speak. You let your distance speak. You let the sudden shift in your energy speak louder than any threat you could ever make. People feel it. They always feel it. The moment you remove warmth, the moment you remove access, the moment your tone becomes colder and shorter, they understand something changed, and that change came from their own actions. That understanding is what disciplines them. You don't lecture them. You don't explain the mistake. You don't ask for apologies. You simply withdraw your presence, the very presence they took for granted. And the absence hits harder than any punch. When you stop greeting them the same way, when you stop engaging, when your eyes become calculating instead of familiar, they feel the shift. It unsettles them. This is how you teach people, with consequence, not chaos. A controlled man is far more frightening than a violent one, because a violent man reacts. A controlled man decides. You decide who gets access. You decide who gets silence. You decide who deserves correction and who deserves distance. You're not someone to test. You're not someone who repeats himself or begs to be respected. You are someone whose quiet disappointment carries more weight than another man's anger. So remember this. You don't need to hit. You don't need to shout. You don't need to prove strength with force. Make them understand with stillness, with boundaries, with the cold shift in your presence, because when a man learns from your silence, he'll never forget the lesson. Listen carefully. Most people announce their actions before they take them. They threaten, they warn, they explain. They think giving notice makes them look in control. It doesn't. It shows weakness. It shows uncertainty. It shows that you need consent from others before exercising authority. You don't operate that way. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't need anyone to understand the timing or the reason. You act, and your actions speak louder than any explanation ever could. Consequences that arrive without announcement carry weight because they are absolute. They are undeniable. They are unarguable. And most importantly, they make people realize that you are always observing, always calculating, always ready. If someone crosses you, don't inform them. Don't warn them. Don't give them the chance to prepare or plead. Let the pattern reveal itself. Let them make the mistake that proves your point. And when you act, do it quietly. Do it precisely. Do it in a way that leaves no question about who is in control. People fear the man who moves silently. They fear the man who doesn't explain. They fear the man who lets them reach the point of their own destruction without interference. Because when the consequence hits, they realize it was always coming. They just didn't know it would be so exact. This is the difference between strength and intimidation. A man who warns is weak. A man who waits, observes, and executes without noise is untouchable. Consequences without announcement force people to reflect on their actions. They make people accountable for what they've done. They make people aware that their behavior has limits. And when someone realizes that crossing you comes with an invisible, inevitable cost, they hesitate the next time. They second-guess themselves. They calculate. You don't need to justify the punishment. You don't need to explain your decision. You don't need to announce your plan. All you need is clarity. All you need is precision. All you need is the resolve to act once the pattern is complete. The most effective discipline comes silently, without fanfare. The most permanent respect is earned through decisive, unannounced action. People remember the consequences they didn't see coming. They remember the man who was calm while the storm hit them. They remember the presence that was always there, even when invisible, always watching, always calculating. So stop warning, stop announcing, stop explaining. Let consequence be your voice. Let action be your sentence. And let silence be the thing they fear most, because when it breaks, it's always precise. It's always final. It's always yours. Listen closely. People expect anger. They expect shouting, reaction, emotion. They expect you to prove you're hurt. When you don't give them that, you take away something far more valuable than your temper. You take away access. Removing access is power. It's control. It's a silent correction that leaves them questioning everything they thought they understood about you. Because most people rely on your presence more than they admit. Your time feeds their ego. Your attention validates their existence. Your availability gives them comfort. Take that away, and you expose the truth. They needed you far more than they respected you. You're not punishing with rage. You're punishing with absence. And absence cuts deeper than anger ever could. Because anger can be argued with. Absence cannot. It is final. It is quiet. It is cold. And it forces reflection. When you remove access, you introduce uncertainty. They start wondering what you're thinking. They start questioning what they did. They start replaying every moment, trying to understand where they lost their position in your life. This is where fear begins. Not in raised voices, but in the silence that replaces them. You aren't teaching them a lesson. You're showing them your standard. You're demonstrating that your energy is not cheap. And once you withdraw it, you do not return it at their convenience. Removing access is the ultimate boundary. It says, without a single word, that you've seen enough. That you don't negotiate your self-respect. That you won't continue giving what they never valued in the first place. People only change when something they rely on is taken away. Not interrupted, removed, not questioned, cut off, not paused, ended. So forget anger. Anger tells them they still matter enough to trigger emotion. Access tells them the opposite. When you walk away calmly, they realize the door didn't close on its own. You closed it. Let them feel the loss of you. Let them understand the difference between presence and privilege. And let your silence be the reminder that access to you is earned, and once lost, it is rarely returned. Listen. It isn't screened or announced. It isn't dictated with violence or anger. It's delivered by letting people fail, by letting them fall, by letting them own the consequences of their own decisions. When someone disrespects you, crosses your boundaries, or misjudges your presence, your first instinct may be to correct them. Don't step in. Don't try to control the outcome. Let them act. Let them choose. Let them dig the hole they will eventually stand in. People underestimate the weight of their own choices. They think arrogance will protect them. They think charm will excuse them. They think luck or timing will keep them safe. Let them believe it. Because the moment they step fully into their own path, the consequences become inevitable and absolute. You stay silent. You stay still. You let them reveal every flaw, every assumption, every weakness hidden beneath their confidence. Because when the fall comes, it carries more impact if they brought themselves there. Your power isn't in pushing them down. It's in allowing them to fall into their own trap. This is control at its purest. It's patience. It's observation. It's discipline. You don't interfere because interference dilutes the lesson. You don't explain because explanation offers escape. You don't fight because fighting removes the accountability they must feel. Every choice they make while unaware of your observation adds weight to their downfall. Every miscalculation they make while believing they're untouchable sharpens your clarity. And when the moment arrives, when they hit the bottom of their own making, it lands with finality. You don't celebrate. You don't gloat. You don't need recognition. You simply watch. You simply know. You simply continue forward, undisturbed by the chaos they created themselves. And here's the truth. They'll understand too late. Their arrogance, their disrespect, their misjudgment. It was never about you needing to act. It was about them needing to realize it themselves. By the time they learn, it's too late to shift the outcome. And that is the most unforgiving form of power. Let them fall. Let their choices dictate their end. Let your calm observation enforce the reality they refuse to see. And when the dust settles, you remain untouched, still standing, still in control. Because power is not taken. It is earned silently by letting others collapse under the weight of what they chose. Look at yourself and understand this. The moment you stop caring about what people think, the moment you stop trying to control their opinions, the moment you stop seeking validation from those who don't respect you, that is when your true power emerges. Caring creates attachments. Attachments create vulnerability. Vulnerability is what people exploit. When you stop caring, you remove the weapon they rely on to manipulate you. Your presence changes. Your energy shifts. Your aura becomes untouchable. People notice immediately. They feel the difference in your tone, your gaze, your movements. They notice that nothing you do depends on them, their approval, or their judgment. And that is unsettling. Because they realize your calm, your distance, your indifference is deliberate. It is not accident. It is control. Once you stop caring, the mistakes of others stop affecting you. The arrogance of others stops provoking you. The disrespect of others stops controlling your mood. You operate on clarity, not chaos. You respond with calculation, not reaction. And that is a presence people cannot ignore. They may fear it, they may respect it, but they cannot influence it. Your aura becomes magnetic and dangerous at the same time. Magnetic because people are drawn to someone untouchable, someone who does not bend or plead. Dangerous because they know that crossing you now carries consequences that are not motivated by emotion, consequences that are precise, inevitable, and unshakable. You are no longer readable, no longer predictable, no longer accessible. Every interaction carries weight. Every word, glance, and pause carries significance. You do not react to every slight or provocation. You choose what deserves your energy and what does not. And most of the time, it is enough to simply exist in that state, to let your quiet dominance teach the lesson without a word spoken. When you stop caring, people realize that you are not playing their game. You are not subject to their rules. You do not need their approval. You do not fear their judgment. And that alone shifts the balance of power irreversibly in your favor. This is how presence becomes influence. This is how silence becomes authority. This is how indifference becomes fear. Stop caring. Stop caring. Stop reacting. Stop validating. And watch how the world rearranges itself around your calm, unshakable control. Respect is not demanded. It is offered, earned, and measured silently. When it is denied, there is no need for noise, argument, or emotion. What comes next is inevitable. Fear is not born from anger. Fear is born from control, from precision, from absence, from the quiet presence that observes, calculates, and acts only when necessary. You don't chase it. You don't force it. You simply become the man who cannot be predicted, cannot be manipulated, and cannot be disrespected. Respect was a choice. Fear is the result.